Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate, a new interview program on CNN IBN. Each week we're going to bring you an in-depth interview with one of the top political personalities of the week. And to start with, a double will with the President of Pakistan, General Parvez Musharraf. In part 2 of this special series tomorrow, I shall talk to the Pakistan President about the ideas he's throwing up for a possible solution to the Kashmir conflict. But first, in today's interview, I shall talk to the Pakistan President about the questions that are being asked about the peace process that is underway and the sort of challenges they pose. General Musharraf, 9 months ago when you visited Delhi, you created a sense of euphoria and expectation. People felt that the peace process was making progress. Today, that seems to have petered out and there's disappointment in its place. What's gone wrong?
If I was to talk very frankly, yes, I agree with this feeling. And there is a degree of disappointment in me also, gradually setting in. I would say while I am open and I am trying to throw up ideas, because ideas are not coming from the other direction, but there is not much of a response from the Indian side. That is why the disappointment.
Let's talk about some of the problems that have come up. In the last few days, both your Foreign Office spokesperson and your Prime Minister have commented both in disappointment and in anger at the sort of criticisms made in India about the handling of Balochistan. How much of a setback to the peace process and the relationship has that represented?
Well, it should not be a setback to the process of dialogue on resolution of...
But is it a setback?
Well, it has really disappointed us tremendously. It has not only disappointed, but it did annoy me a lot. But I didn't give any comment. But now that you're asking, yes, indeed, it's a direct interference in our internal affairs. We had dozens of opportunities to do the same in India. Whatever has happened in India in the past, we did not. But therefore we don't accept any interference, any comments in our internal affairs. In a way, it shows that there is probably a disappointment because there may be some involvement there from the other side.
You say there may be some involvement. Yes. Are you sure and confident of that?
A lot of indications, yes indeed.
Such as?
A lot of financial support, support in kind being given to those who are anti-government, anti-me, to those feudal people who are anti-national.
Do you have evidence and proof of this?
There is a lot of evidence, but I wouldn't like to...
Of financial support?
Yes, indeed.
And also of support in kind?
Well, I would like to close this here. Yes, indeed, there is a lot of reasonable amount of evidence, but I wouldn't like to get involved in it.
You're agreeing with comments made both by your Interior Minister in the papers in Friday and also by comments made by the Chief Minister of Balochistan that India is arming and financially supporting rebels in Balochistan?
Yes, indeed. We are basing, this statement is based on the same source, on the information and intelligence that we have.
On the day the Indian spokesperson spoke up and made a comment about the Pakistan government's handling of Balochistan, by coincidence, in Lahore you said that the state of relationship between the two countries was at an all-time best. Yes. 5 days later, is it still at an all-time best?
It is, yes. I don't think we've had such a relationship where I'm sitting with you and giving an interview and so many people keep coming. There are so many activities. Politicians are coming.
So despite your disappointment, despite your anger, you still say the relationship is at an all-time best?
Yes, I think we have never had it this good.
Let's then talk about some of the concerns the Indian government has with the peace process. The Indians say that the problem lies in the Pakistani leadership's belief that cross-border terrorism, and in particular the jihadi outfits that allegedly perpetrate it, are a weapon and a lever in the hands of the Pakistan government. That weapon has brought India to the talks table. If you stop exercising it, India will have no incentive to talk. As a result, the Indians say the Pakistan government may reduce terror levels, but it will simply never eliminate them, and as a result, the peace process can't go forward. How do you respond to that?
No, I think this is a hackneyed statement. This is a very, very old statement. This was in the past, but we've come along.
It was true in the past?
A lot of things were happening on both sides. I don't want to get involved.
But you're suggesting that in fact in the past terror was used as a weapon?
No, no, terror was not used. It was a freedom struggle going on in Kashmir, which is going on still. So let us leave that chapter aside, because it, on one side Indians believe that it is terrorism, we are saying it's a freedom struggle.
Let me explain to you why in fact the Indians believe this is a real obstacle to the peace process. They say within 24 hours of the devastating earthquake on your side of Kashmir, militant organizations like the Lashkar-e-Toiba, the Al-Badr, the Al-Sufa were running extensive relief operations. And they say that despite your comments to the contrary, this is proof that their manpower, their infrastructure, their whole organization is intact.
Now, let me answer this. First of all, it's absolutely baseless, the previous point that you made of terrorism and cross-border terrorism and our belief. We've come a long way. We've come so far ahead that we believe that it's the political process which has to take over now, and it has to go to a solution. But nothing seems to be moving forward, as we said. So let us close this chapter of the past, and let us not keep harping on this, which we have been doing since the last 15 years, that it is terrorism which is hampering progress. It is not. Nothing is being sponsored from this side. Now let me come to the other part.
Can I interrupt briefly there? You say nothing is being sponsored from this side, and yet the December status report of the American 9/11 Commission says, and I quote, Musharraf has not shut down terrorist camps. Your own newspaper, The Post, on the 27th of December says, and again I quote, in January 2002, General Musharraf banned some jihadi outfits and launched a crackdown. But it is far from complete or consistent, as despite the setbacks they suffered, underground groups have not slowed their activities.
Yeah. Now, either believe me or believe anyone else. There is no training camp here. There is no training camp. And there is nothing being sponsored across the borders. Now, this is a statement which I am making with complete conviction and complete sincerity. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who say a lot of things. If you see the media, there are a lot of opposite views being given. This is my view, and this is my sincere view, and I know that this is true. And I have told this to all the leadership whenever we've met. We have done so much. I have done so much that no other person could have done. But no, there is no response coming. And all the time the pressure is on me to do more and more. I think enough is enough. We need to move forward on the peace process.
You began your answer by saying either believe me or believe someone else, and there was a hint there of frustration, perhaps anger that people aren't believing you. Let me explain why many people in India turned around and say, despite General Musharraf's constant assurance, it's hard to believe him. Not just Pakistani papers like The Post, which I quoted a moment ago, but even the Herald magazine in July said that 13 terrorist training camps had opened up in Manshera in your country, and that these were run by organizations like the Lashkar, the Jaish, the Hizbul Mujahideen, the Harkatul Mujahideen. Is the Pakistani press working against your own comments?
Yes, there are some, because we believe in independence of the press. You're talking of Herald. Take Herald and read. Do you see a single positive article? Whereas so much positive is going on in Pakistan. So they leave that aside. We have let independence be because we hope that maturity will come in. Now you've spoken about Manshera, and you've spoken about the Lashkar-e-Taiba operating there for earthquake relief. Lashkar-e-Taiba is not operating. It is Jamaat-ud-Dawa.
Well, it's the same organization under a new name?
No, that is, yes, I know that. But it's not a banned organization.
But they just changed names and continued.
No, well, it has its linkages, but it's not the same. It has its linkages. As long as it is there, it has not been banned even abroad. Lashkar-e-Taiba is banned, is a banned organization at the United Nations. This one is not banned.
But it's the same organization with the same man at the head continuing?
Now, if they are there and they are carrying out relief operation and they are doing a good job, now I have no reason to stop anyone who's not banned and doing a good job of relief to the people. Why should I stop anyone? So that is the issue. Now, when you spoke of training camps, by the way, this earthquake is exactly in that area, Manshera area. There are dozens of helicopters and people from all over the world. They are operating there now. They are flying, United States is flying helicopters. Have they seen any training camp in Kashmir or in this on this
I'm going
side?
to quote to you from United States documents, the November status report of the 9/11 Commission, 2 months after the earthquake. Terrorists from Pakistan carry out operations in Kashmir. The same thing was echoed 6 months earlier by the International Crisis Group. I know you don't like them, so I won't remind you of what they said. I'm quoting the American 9/11 Commission instead.
This is wrong, absolutely wrong. There were sympathizers here, certainly, over the 15 years that whatever has gone on. We have come a long way, as I've said. There are no training camps, and there is nothing happening across the borders.
Okay.
And the proof of it is that in Azad Kashmir, all over Azad Kashmir, Muzaffarabad area, Bagh area, Rawalakot area, these are our forward areas. There is, if you go and visit the place and see the foreigners traveling around, have they seen any training camp? Have they seen any training camp in Mansehra? They are flying all over the place. I challenge anyone to say it now, say this, give the comment now.
You began this interview by saying, believe me or believe someone else. I, for the purposes of this interview, will believe you. Others will make up their own mind themselves. Let me put it like this. If there are no training camps, if you have actually done everything that you can to stop terrorism, and it is a closed chapter, as you said, then what assurance can you give the Indian government, verbal or otherwise, so that they believe you that terror is not being used as a weapon, that jihadi outfits are not being used as a weapon?
I have given an assurance umpteen number of times. I have given this assurance to the Prime Minister so many times. Now, if he doesn't believe me and he believes others, well, it's a sad story. But if the gauge is what happens in your part of Kashmir, the Indian-held Kashmir as we call it, or the terrorist activity there, or the bomb blast somewhere in Delhi or any other place, and you blame us as having sponsored that, well, that is absolutely baseless.
And they do blame you.
Yes, they do blame organizations here.
And you're saying it's baseless?
It is absolutely baseless.
So you're giving an assurance to the Indian people?
It may be some organization of Pakistan here, which is banned, may be involved. Now, I can't guarantee that. We would like to move against them. That is my assurance. We would like to move against any militancy, against any civilians, anywhere in India or the world.
You're saying that if it's happening without your support,
absolutely,
without your approval?
Absolutely.
And you will continue to take efforts to ban those organizations who should be banned, but are somehow managing to operate?
Yes, absolutely.
And if you were to discover that the new version of the Lashkar-e-Toiba in fact is doing things that it shouldn't be doing, is in fact indulging in terrorism, you will ban them as well?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a guarantee?
Absolutely.
The Indian people are listening to you?
Absolutely, yeah. They should listen to me, and I have banned, it's me who has banned all the organizations, and I'm prepared to ban anyone who's involved. And we are keeping a watch on this Jamaat-ud-Dawa, because they are on the watch list. And we have restricted, we are watching them very carefully, that they are only involved in relief and nothing else.
And as you said, the moment you discover they're doing something more than relief, something that is a tantamount to terrorism, you will ban them?
Yes, absolutely.
But in which case, let me put it like this. Last year, when cricket between the two countries took place, you came to India, and it gave a huge opportunity to the peace process to lift itself up one whole lever, one whole gear. The Indian team is in Pakistan at the moment. The cricket series begins in a week's time. Will you seek to invite Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in the hope that history can repeat itself?
Yeah, I would like to. He was supposed to visit us. He said that in New York.
You invited him 4 times, and 4 times he hasn't come?
Yes, he hasn't come as yet.
So will you invite him
again?
Now,
if he needs another cricket match to be invited, because I had invited him, and he has said he'll come. No, I don't mind inviting him at all. But
when you say you don't mind,
I want the peace process to move forward. Now, if he comes here and we do nothing about the peace process, I'm afraid we are just wasting our time.
But you sound as if you're in two minds. Do you want to invite him or not?
Yes, I will. And I would like to invite him, yes.
You will invite Prime Minister Manmohan Singh?
Well, I invite him right here. Let me say that I invite him to Pakistan to watch any part of the series.
General Musharraf, let's take a break at that point. We've spent part one discussing Indian concerns about the peace process that's underway. After the break, I want to talk to you about the sort of criticism and response you face in your own country and how you respond to your critics here at home. That's part two of this exclusive interview with the President of Pakistan, See you in a moment after the break. Welcome back to part 2 of this exclusive interview with the President of Pakistan. President Musharraf, in part 1 we spoke about some of the concerns the Indian side has with the peace process. Let's now talk about the sort of response and reaction you've had in Pakistan. The irony is, you left India in April, a hero in Indian eyes, but you returned to a country where you were accused of capitulation and betraying Kashmir. Do you have a problem with the Pakistani press?
No, not at all. There is no problem. They are free, absolutely. So there is criticism always. But I think on the Kashmir process, generally the people massively are in support of whatever I'm doing.
But not the press. Let me quote to you what Dawn said about the joint statement you signed with Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in April. They compared you to Neville Chamberlain in 1939. They said that your visit to Delhi was a second mini Munich. They said you had abandoned Kashmir.
No, absolute nonsense. That is what I would like to say. But I know that massively Pakistan and even the media of Pakistan is supportive of whatever I am doing on Kashmir.
Well, you say the Dawn is absolute nonsense. In that case, let me quote the Nation.
Dawn is one of the papers.
Well, let me quote the Nation, a second paper. Here it says, in its editorial, it says the joint statement clearly points to one conclusion. The Pakistani leadership has succumbed to the pressure to proceed with normalizations of relations with India.
If you take editorials only of few newspapers, there are articles being written, there is media debate going on. So you're taking you pick out one sentence from a Dawn editorial or a Nation editorial that does not reflect. These are personal views of the individual who's written the editorial. Unfortunately, this is view of one person who's written this editorial.
So you discount
absolutely.
Dawn,
I think
you
it is
discount
absolute.
The Nation.
It is nonsense because the Nation doesn't believe it, and even the person who's written this editorial, I am very sure doesn't believe it now.
Well, that's an aspersion that you're casting on him. Let's leave that
absolutely,
aside.
Absolutely.
The point I'm making is that you weren't simply criticized in April. In a strange way, the criticism that you face has become more strident since then. One of the concerns today being expressed in the Pakistani press is that General Musharraf is making all the concessions. The Indian side won't budge. Ayaz Amir, perhaps one of your country's foremost commentators, from your smile I can see you're not very fond of the man again, but one of your foremost commentators in October says, and I'm quoting, the composite dialogue is settling into a familiar pattern. India doesn't budge. To induce movement, Pakistan throws in a concession. So nothing happens from India, Pakistan makes more concessions.
You select people who are unbalanced. He's an unbalanced man. Let me say it, and please project it on the TV, okay? He's an unbalanced man.
You're sending a message to Ayaz Amir?
Yes, I'm sending a message to him. He's an unbalanced man. You read any of his articles, they are all unbalanced. He doesn't know what he's talking. Okay? Now, if you take his article and think this is Pakistan's views, I'm afraid I'm not agreeing with you at all, right? Pakistan's view, I'm very clear, and I keep my hand on the pulse of Pakistan very much. I know what their view is. The Pakistani public, the Pakistani media, Pakistani intelligentsia,
but I've just quoted
Pakistani bureaucracy.
I've quoted 3 newspapers and you've dismissed them.
No, it doesn't mean anything. There are other newspapers also. And in any case,
can I put it like this?
Hold on, let me complete. When you talk of editorials, as I said, unfortunately there are vested interests which I don't want to get involved in. It is the view of this one man. He is not representing the view of Pakistan. We are talking of the view of Pakistan. If you want to gauge the view of Pakistan, gauge it through the media in its entirety, gauge it through public opinions in various other forums.
Let me then
so don't quote just one editorial and say that Ayaz Amir has written this, therefore the whole of Pakistan is against it. It is absolutely
Ayaz Amir is a sore point with you, but I was quoting more than just one person. I was quoting the Dawn newspaper editorial, I was quoting the Nation. Let me remind you of a third. A comment in the Pakistani press, this time to do with the handling of the Kashmir dispute, links up with the army. It says, it is hard to figure out which is more dangerous, the military at war or the military at peace, because they are saying you're making concessions that India isn't responding to, you're making the running, India is simply putting up a stone wall. Does it worry you that even the army's handling is coming into question?
Army's handling? I didn't get your question.
I'll give you the quotation again. It is hard to figure out which is more dangerous, the military at war or the military at peace?
Let me tell you, Karan, that this is not a banana republic army. This is an army which has fought wars. It's an extremely disciplined army. It's totally loyal and committed to me. I know that. So there is no question. I don't even want to comment on it. Army is for Pakistan. It will do anything in Pakistan's interest. It always works in Pakistan's interest.
Does the army support the Kashmir initiatives that you've been taking?
200%, 1000%.
Can I quote to you from the Post, 27th December 2005? There is a powerful clique of religious parties and their supporters within the military establishment in Pakistan who are sympathetic to the jihadist cause, especially in Kashmir. Do they support your concepts and ideas for solution?
This is, in brief, nonsense. If they were there, they'll be out of the army tomorrow.
You mean you will throw them out?
Absolutely.
So
you think I wouldn't be worth my salt if I'm the army chief and these people are doing that? That this is not a banana republic army. I'm in charge here. And the generals and the corps commanders are in charge of corps. There's no question of anyone doing this here. They'll be out tomorrow morning.
Including corps commanders?
I've selected the corps commanders, so how could they be against me? Okay?
One of the comments made by Indians, and it's made with a sense of concern, is that the army doesn't seem to be directly involved in the peace process, and this leads people in India to question whether your corps commanders support your peace process.
These are aspersions, these are unfortunate aspersions which get created in India, maybe through your media, because I keep reading your magazines. Yes, they write articles which are in many ways distortions of facts and truths. I always take everyone along. I hold corps commanders conferences every month, okay? And one of them was just 2 days back. What do I discuss there? I discuss everything. And I believe in commanding through ownership, through acceptance of my views, getting views, discussing, and then coming to conclusions. Each one and everyone in the army is with me and supportive of the peace.
And as you said a moment ago, those who are not with you, even if they're corps commanders, will be thrown out.
Absolutely. This is the army. This is the discipline of the army. I believe in discussing and then giving decisions. Now, one of the aspects of leadership that I believe is unity of command. Now, you discuss so that there is ownership and everyone participates. Then you give a decision. Now, if anyone is not on that decision, is not a member of the team.
And he's out.
He's out. He should be out.
So what you're saying to people both in India listening to this interview and to people in Pakistan is that I, Parvez Musharraf, am in control. I am the army chief and the army will do what I say.
Absolutely. Is there any doubt? 200%. That is the way it is.
Let me put to you then another set of concerns that people have about your capacity to deliver on the peace process. They look at you and they say increasingly, here is a head of government, a head of state, hemmed in by serious problems. The Taliban seem to have a free hand in Waziristan. You have insurgency of some sort in Baluchistan. You have a serious earthquake in Kashmir, where the consequences continue to trouble you. And in addition, the Kalabag issue has inflamed, if not seriously divided opinion in Sindh. In those situations and circumstances, can you deliver on a Kashmir peace proposal to India?
Okay. I think we are taking a very exaggerated look of everything. You're talking of insurgency in Baluchistan. There's no insurgency in Baluchistan. There are a few tribal warlords. They have been against Pakistan throughout our history. Now, they can be sorted out anytime. Now, if they show any activity which is anti-Pakistan, we will sort them out. That is what we'll do.
Even if it takes helicopter gunships to do so?
Now don't think that this is in the whole of Baluchistan. Okay? Baluchistan province, and you should have seen the cabinet meeting very recently by the chief minister, where they are demanding action against them, right? This is the latest cabinet meeting. You don't quote them because you want to pick out any critic like Ayaz Amir saying something. No, he's got nothing to do.
No, it's not critics. I simply wanted to say to you, do you have time, do you have the leeway to carry on an initiative with India when you have so many serious problems at home?
Obviously, I mean, if a leader cannot deal with a number of subjects, I think he is no leader. So if earthquake, we are managing it very well, exceptionally well. There is an organization set in place. What is my involvement in the earthquake? Yes, indeed, I back them up.
You're not daunted by problems at home?
Not at all.
They're not going to undermine your will to continue a peace process with India?
Not at all. So and Taliban, when you say Taliban, what Taliban is going on? What is the problem? We have controlled everything. We have captured their sanctuaries. They are on the run.
Even Friday's papers, that is to say the papers on the day I'm recording this interview, say that 11 people have been killed in Waziristan and the hand of suspicion is pointing towards the Taliban.
So what is the problem if 11 people have been killed? So what is the problem? How many people die in India? What is happening in India, in the northeast of India, in Kashmir and in Bihar, and so many insurgencies? There are about 18 insurgencies going on. Is India breaking up? What is the problem?
So you feel regardless of the problems you face at home, you have the capacity and the strength to continue with the peace process?
Absolutely, one should have the capacity. There is no problem, so you don't exaggerate the problem.
There is
no insurgency in Baluchistan, there is no problem of Taliban, and we are handling the earthquake very well. So don't exaggerate it as if I'm bogged down in all
this. Then let me put it like this.
Bogged down.
Many people say General Musharraf's own future looks less than certain. He faces elections in 2007. The uniform issue hasn't been sorted out, and that suggests that he hasn't got a political process in place that will allow him to continue. So let me repeat my whole question with this in mind. With an uncertain future ahead of you, can you deliver on the peace process?
Again, exaggerated view, thinking there's a doomsday scenario coming in. Do you know the local government election results? The government party has won everywhere. Do you know that?
So this fills.
Do you know that in Punjab they've got, I think, 95%. In Sindh, I think massively they are in charge, massively. In Frontier, where there was a religious MMA government, the biggest party winners that has emerged is the government party. Similarly is Baluchistan. So what is the problem with me? I'm the strongest at the moment politically.
All right. On that note, that you're the strongest at the moment politically, let's end this particular interview. I want to come back tomorrow and in the second part of this exclusive series, talk to you about the ideas that you're throwing up that you believe could lead to a solution. Because many people, both in India and Pakistan, have been captivated by them, but equally others are critical. That's part 2 of this exclusive series of interviews with the President of Pakistan. Make sure you catch it tomorrow evening on CNN IBN at the same time. Till then, goodbye, good night.